Some good, some bad. I think that's a pretty good way to give a summary for Georgia's defense against Vanderbilt. This is Filmed Live from UGAsports.com. He's Brent Rollins with Pro Football Focus. I'm Dayne Young, not with Pro Football Focus, but with the ability to draw things on video. We are presented by Breda Pest Management and ASW Distillery. Brent, overall, do you agree with that assessment that Georgia did some things and Vanderbilt exploited it too? I want to give the Commodores some credit for some plays that were made, but Georgia's defense also bowed up when it had to.
Yeah, and they had two 75-yard drives. Like the opening drive of both halves actually were two 75-yard drives where they just went down the field. And some of it was what was interesting about rewatching the defense in this game was some of it was just where you're like, okay, why are you making that call in that situation? Some other that allowed some of the explosives. Some of it was like the fourth down play, I think it was, that the kid made the great catch. What was his Shepard? The Shepard kid made the great catch. And then obviously the other score was just because you threw a pick and they got a pick and run it down to the 1 yard line. But communication, but for the most part, what's interesting when you look at it is they kind of picked on, maybe not intentionally. I don't know how intentional it was, but it just kind of happenstance. But they kind of picked on one guy.
Yeah. Now I will say that I've talked to a lot of coaches and covering this for over a decade. When you're overmatched, if you can find ways to have, and this is, you have it from the backfield some, you have it from the slot some. If you can find ways to just get crossers over the middle, sometimes good things can happen when you're overmatched. And so you end up seeing that a lot from teams that just have lesser talent. And Vanderbilt did that in first play here that we're focusing on. You saw it out of the backfield.
They attacked Georgia's zone coverages very well, I think, overall. And there were certain times Georgia played great coverage, but like if you look at the totality of it, there were holes. And there were others that Vanderbilt's quarterbacks missed sometimes. So, but for the most part, in terms of who was targeted the most in this game, at least in the area of coverage, that would be number 23 for Georgia. That would be Tyke Smith. And this was one where I didn't understand his movement on this play, mainly because of the formation, because there's a single receiver outside. And yes, I realize sort of outside responsibilities that he has here. But once this individual, he steps in, he still kind of took 2 steps out, like expecting someone to be almost right where he was. But again, Vanderbilt did a good job in this game. And you see a lot of the same routes, but of attacking empty areas, attacking the zone, finding spots, and consistently taking care of the ball and are holding on to the football.
I did see someone say that Georgia played more zone in part because of field conditions and how sloppy the field was and people slipping. This is early in the game, so it seems like to me this was probably just more game plan coming into it. I'm not saying both can't be true. That Georgia may have played zone more later on just to avoid slipping and having more options there. But I did at least see that from somebody.
And you think about, we look at this, I think, under the prism of what can hurt Georgia later, more so than what happened in this game. Mm-hmm. Because, like, they only had 219 yards of total offense. They couldn't run the ball at all. And, it was still just sort of some things here and there that you did that allowed some consistent. And there were certain ones where, miscommunications, which we're going to see right here, or sort of blown assignments. But others, there was one other one where on the long drive that they got to open the second half, where it's like, hey, why is there nobody in this area? And this is one where what Tyke said right after, I don't know if he said it or hear it, but hey, this one was on me. You saw Kirby talking to him after the play. And it's one where, sometimes obviously as the slot defender, you have to carry the number 2 receiver which is 85, I think. You have to carry him vertical in certain instances. But when you watch this and you see what Lasser does and what I think Bullard does behind Tyke, you realize that he didn't need to do that in this case. And boom, you get a touchdown. I will say the thing that was kind of interesting to me rewatching this play was watching how much Malachi Starks was actually focused on what was going on in the backfield versus playing pass first in a way. His aggressiveness kind of, he looks to the outside and is still moving forward and realizes that that's stuff behind. But yeah, miscommunication, boom, Big play, touchdown.
So it's 2 plays in the first drive that end up in a touchdown, and it was a receiver that Tyke Smith was at least having some responsibility in. Because things happen. When you start to project ahead, you see players like a Luther Burden on the schedule, best receiver in the conference right now. I got to think at that point, Missouri is going to be like, how do we try to get some matchups with Tyke Smith and Luther Burden? Because that would tend to favor what Missouri's doing. Again, we're projecting ahead. Tyke had some great plays too. He's had an up and down
Yeah,
year.
the interception was awesome.
Interception was fantastic. So we're not just trashing on a guy, but we're just showing you first possession here. It was 2 plays against Tyke Smith.
Yep. Like in this game, he was targeted 8 times, more than any other player.
Later on in the first quarter.
Again, just attacking. And this is one where Georgia, you talk about Georgia playing zone on early downs, them knowing they can't run the ball. And this is, I think, how offenses are going to have to – other teams, I think, can run the ball and will try to. But when you can't, you have to just find ways to attack zones and use this quick, short passing game as your running game. Yeah,
go sit in the spot, see if you can fall ahead, get the first down. Got more than that here.
And if you have good receivers who can find holes in zones, you can do this. This is, in essence, this is what LSU tried to do to Georgia early on in the SEC championship game, where they kept the ball almost the entire first quarter just by running bunch sets and getting completions of 6-7 yards really quick like this.
Yeah, and the space is created there in part by the motion man. That's going to happen. I thought Vandy had some good plays. I thought Seals played a pretty good game. He played within himself.
Solid. Yep. Just had the one turnover. Mm-hmm. Which that's one, previous to the game, I thought, okay, I even wrote it. Turnover luck is going to push back in Vandy's way because they've been so bad with it during the game. And I thought they'd hang around, but Georgia would eventually take care of it. I should have just lowered my number in my prediction a little bit.
Jamel Walthour.
Dude. Hello. Yes. Thank you. Because I said this on the postgame show. If I see a front four of 90, 96, 78, and 32, I'm throwing the ball. Because I know for the most part, I'm not getting pressured. So let me just – I was instantly just kind of like, wow, great job by him. Dayne, on the season, his pass rush – little Chris Collinsworth, they always mess with him saying where he says pass rush. But anyway, his pass rush win rate is 2.3%. So he's winning his one-on-one battle 2.3% of the time.
That's a low percentage.
That's a very 20's good. 20's really good. Most of the guys you see are in the teens. In his 450 career snaps of pass rushing, his pass rush win rate is 2.9%. He's not a pass rusher. So when you get this, boom, take advantage. And then Christian Miller, great job working, Smile Munden, clean up, all that stuff. And by the way, Vandy's quarterbacks were pressured as much as anybody coming into this game. So you had to get some of that at some point.
You can say he's not a pass rusher. On this play, he was. And that's all I'm talking about right now.
Exactly. It's one. Hey, let's see it. Let's keep seeing it. Win. Go cause havoc. Great job, Miller, fighting through. Munden cleaning up.
Havoc is the perfect word there. And I love the speed here from 97.
Now, what's interesting about this is I think this would actually get categorized in the PFF system as an UBP, as an unblocked pressure. Because for some reason, and by the way, this happened on multiple plays where the tackle's looking down and somebody kind of scrapes around him and causes instant pressure. Walthour, I think his other pressure in this game was because of that. But this is one where JDJ is like, ooh. Mm-hmm. I wish I had that one back because
pick.
That was 6. And he's, by the way, he's done it before. Then I think he did it in his first career game. Was it you? Didn't he have a pick 6 against UAB in his first game? Maybe.
I want to say. You're testing my memory, and I have 2 young kids. So let's.
Yes.
I believe you're right, but I don't want people in the comments to be like, "Man, you are both idiots." So I'm not going to jump on the train with you.
Pretty sure he had a pick 6. I'm going to look it up now just because I'm curious.
I trust you and your memory more than me and my memory. So, yeah, you look it up as we go, and I'm just going to yes, I get that is an unblocked defender. But you still kind of have to make the swim move and keep your leverage there. And he gets to the backfield very, very quickly. So that's why I praise it.
Brenson's one who's consistently been winning along the interior. I think he was
Brent,
the second highest graded defender in this game.
Yeah, and yes, this should have been a pick 6 for Dumas Johnson, but in a year that his coverage hasn't been the greatest, I just love he was where he needed to be and making a play on the man. So I'm not even going to complain about it.
And rewatching, I thought he actually played really well in this game.
Yeah,
like there's one that we're getting ready to show that's not so good, but I think that's more of the position he was put in versus him.
Yeah. And we were talking about Tyke Smith. Let me make sure I went to the right play here. Yeah, I thought I hit the button twice. We were talking about Tyke Smith and like things in the future. I thought Vanderbilt did a good job of getting both Dumas Johnson and Munden kind of out on the edge against skill guys. And I think that's going to be on tape when other teams look at it too.
This is one where I'd be curious to have a conversation about the blitz itself and whether or not, like, oftentimes you defensive coordinators call blitzes and it's like, hey, if they do X, all right, we're going to check out of the blitz and do something else, or if hey, we're doing this blitz no matter what. And this is one where 3rd and 8 to the field, once they motion completely across now with the trips formation, and they're like, it's just you're asking him to cover so much ground. And if you don't get home, and you just didn't get home.
Yeah, because there's no defender.
Like you're already off coverage, your safety's deep, your corner's deep, you're playing off coverage there. It's just a lot of space that he has to cover. It's one where I'm like, I'm sure that's one where the blitz call itself, they might like that back.
Yeah.
Great job of hustling, making the play, though.
Sure.
This is what was scary to me. Twice this happened in this game where it's like true open field tackle. And this happened against Auburn, too.
Like if I pause this right here, what do you think happens?
Like it should be a tackle, but it's also where's your, like, you should have maintain outside leverage. Your help is on the inside. Your help is not outside. You got buddies coming.
You're chopping your feet here, flow out here, force him to go this way.
True open field tackling was an issue for him in this game. And again, let's say this is a 5-yard gain. Like this is not detrimental to the defense. And a lot of what we're doing here is more so projecting moving forward when you see somebody really hurt or have consistent success. Okay, these are the things that we told you about in week 5 and week 6 and week 7.
Because in watching the Florida Gators, this is half of the offense right here.
They don't throw the ball very far down the field, no.
Yes. And so Florida's trying to turn this into 12 yards and not 2 yards. And so if you can make this tackle, you can get Florida to punt very quickly.
Did you see how Florida converted 4th and 11 at the end of the game? They threw a 2-yard pass and the kid broke a tackle and got
yeah.
But anyway, like you're going to have to make these plays.
And now we go.
This is just tough.
First of the fourth quarter.
And we've highlighted this. We highlighted this. What was it? Ball State or Tennessee Martin, one of those early in the season. And it's just tough. The only thing that I would like kind of question, I mean, if you're doing this, you kind of, the term banjo coverage where, hey, one takes in, one takes out, kind of thing, that makes it's still tough.
Yeah.
But I would be curious to know and to talk to some defensive specialists in terms of alignment. If you look at everyone's alignment, there's only one that's unique. Look at the 4 receivers, whose alignment is different. The one that gets picked on. Like everybody else is in the grill. Do you, given how close you are to the end zone, do you maybe kind of like the space you do it a little differently there and mitigate that space? But then do you open yourself up? I think it's just tough, especially when you're playing man. This you got to get pressure. You got to affect the QB in some way. You bring it. You just don't get it. You don't get it there in time.
And some of this is experienced quarterback too. Like you see blitz coming from here. Well, let's try to throw behind that in some way. And who's my receiver coming there? It works out. It's not exactly the same place that the blitz came from, but it's close enough that you say there's not going to be another guy there.
And this is one where they were going forward on 4th down anyway.
Yeah.
But it's the last few games, like big picture for the last few games, is not so much about what it's more the other team hasn't taken advantage of the mistakes that you've made than you just playing lights out.
Yeah.
Like Kentucky literally fumbled it over themselves and couldn't hit a pass or couldn't, penalties, all that sort of stuff. This game, you for the most part took care of business, but when you throw in the miscommunications and some little things, open field tackling things, now you've given up a couple scores to Vandy.
I mean, if you're an opposing offensive coordinator and watching even what we've done on Film Don't Lie here, kind of themes of you're not going to be better than Malachi Starks on most plays, so let's just not do things near him. Kamari Lassiter has been locked down most of the season. He's been a really good player, I think. So I've seen most people try to attack, at least in passing here, Tyke Smith, and then if you get Dumas Johnson in coverage.
And the great part about that is the thing to sort of think about. All right, one, you have the ultimate mind when it comes to defense. Like this is more of a player thing than it is, I think, a coaching. We're not getting on the coaching thing here, but like in that game, Shepard, who's a legit NFL guy, one catch, which was an amazing catch.
It was
on 4 targets. Like so, you pretty much locked down their best guy. You held them to 200 yards. You just didn't truly take care of business offensively like you could have, to where this game is lopsided and controlled. And when you think about it, over the past even 3 years that we've been doing a lot of these things with Film Don't Lie, it's more so of, hey, when there is an offense whose talent can kind of match yours or maybe not necessarily match yours, but come close to yours and do some things, these are the areas they're going to attack versus us sitting here poo-pooing and being negative about everything in this game that they just came up, 200 yards against.
We're not being negative. We're just trying to kind of show things that can't happen. And look, against Kentucky, we didn't have a single complaint. Kentucky was bad, and Georgia took advantage.
We didn't show any defense.
You're all right. Like they played a really good game, and it helped that Devin Leary couldn't hit passes. But down the line, if Brady Cook's on fire, you're going to see Georgia have some issues with it. But I tend to think that any quarterback that's playing very efficient with explosive plays, that is hard for really good defenses to attack that. And we've seen that in previous Ohio State last year. That Georgia defense was really, 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 really good. And Ohio State found ways to pick it apart. Yep. Why? C.J. Stroud, Marvin Harrison Jr. It helps.
Yes.
It helps. What'll help your tailgate is if you get some Hunker vodka from ASW Distillery. 5 of the 6 founders are UGA alumni. So they really love UGA. They love UGA sports. They've been partners with us. This is our 2nd year now. And the Hunker vodka is, look, it helps Classic City Collective. So proceeds benefit Classic City Collective. That's Georgia's NIL arm. Pretty much saying that if you have vodka at your tailgate, or if you have it in the cabinet at home for when you're watching Georgia on TV, and you have any other vodka in there, then you're supporting someone else's team. I'm not lying. Google Tito's Vodka Texas, and you will see the millions of dollars that Tito's is pumping into the University of Texas athletics. You want to support that? I don't know. Usually if you're watching this YouTube channel, you probably want to support whatever is going to help Georgia. And that's going to be Hunker Vodka through ASW Distillery, because it benefits Classic City Collective. The other thing is, if you want your home protected by the same folks that protect Sanford Stadium, that's Breda Pest Management, BredaPest.com, the official pest control of the Georgia Bulldogs. I told you, Brent, last grass cutting of the season, I saw the spiders out there, so I need to make sure that they stay far away from the house, and Breda Pest Management is going to help me do that. All right, we are wrapped here on Film Don't Lie, and we will see you all next time. We'll have some bye week, something for you.
More of a look forward, I think, than anything.
The next full game recap will be after Georgia's game with Florida.